Have you ever looked into her eyes and felt like she holds all the power? You try to be the perfect guy, kind, respectful, giving, but somehow, it doesn't work. You've seen it happen. She says she wants a good man, but then runs after someone who treats her like an afterthought. You try to be available, yet she seems distant. You open up and she pulls away. It leaves you confused, powerless, frustrated, and worst of all, unseen. But what if I told you something different? What if I told you that women have hidden weaknesses, vulnerabilities they don't talk about, desires they never say aloud, and emotional triggers that even they don't fully understand? Weaknesses that, once you know how to identify and respond to them, give you a new kind of quiet strength, the Stoic kind. You see, Stoicism isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding, self-mastery, emotional intelligence. And when you learn to see through the illusion and recognize these hidden vulnerabilities in women, not to exploit them, but to navigate your relationships with clarity, you reclaim your sense of power. This isn't about games, it's about wisdom. In this video, we're going to explore 7 hidden female weaknesses every powerful man needs to understand. These aren't the obvious traits. These are subtle patterns rooted in psychology, behavior, and human emotion, often masked by confidence, pride, or silence. So before we dive in, I want to ask you this. Have you ever loved a woman deeply, only to feel like she slowly slipped away? Have you ever been ghosted without closure? Have you ever wondered what you did wrong, even though you gave your all? If so, this video is for you. Because what you're about to learn might change the way you see women forever, and most importantly, the way you see yourself. Stick around until the very end. Trust me, each point builds on the last. Miss one and the puzzle won't be complete. So grab your coffee or sit back in silence and allow yourself to look at love and power through a different lens. And if you find this topic resonates, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, Deep Stoic, and turn on that notification bell. Your support helps this message reach other men who are trying to navigate love with strength, clarity, and self-respect. Let's begin. Point 1. The fear of being truly seen. Think back to a time when you looked at her, not just her face, but her soul. When you saw the cracks in her laughter, the tension behind her smile. Maybe it was late at night or during a quiet moment after a long conversation. You felt close, like you were finally getting to know the real her. But then something changed. She pulled away, became cold, distant. Ever wonder why? Here's the truth that most men never learn. One of a woman's deepest, hidden fears is being truly seen. Not the version she shows on Instagram, not the filtered, polished, perfectly curated image, but the raw, unedited version, the one filled with doubts, insecurities, and past wounds. And when you, as a man, start to see through the layers, something inside her panics. Because being truly seen means being truly vulnerable. And vulnerability is terrifying, especially for someone who's used to being admired, but never really understood. She might say she wants emotional depth, and she probably does, but when it arrives, it scares her. It touches parts of her she has spent years hiding. Maybe she was hurt before. Maybe she's worn so many masks that even she doesn't remember who she is beneath them. Have you ever tried to comfort her during a breakdown, only for her to push you away? That's it. That's the fear in action. You're not alone if this sounds familiar. In fact, many strong, loving men experience this and blame themselves. But here's what you must remember. Her reaction isn't about your failure. It's about her fear. So what should you do? Be present, but not needy. See her, but don't rush to fix her. Give her space, but never walk on eggshells. Show her that your love isn't afraid of her darkness. Because when a man can sit with a woman's truth without flinching, without judgment, that's when real intimacy begins. That's when she slowly starts to trust. And in that trust, she lets herself be seen. Think about the woman in your life right now. Have you ever seen this pattern? Maybe now it finally makes sense. Point 2. Emotional insecurity behind confidence. Remember that woman who walked into the room like she owned it? Her posture perfect, her voice sure, her eyes scanning with precision. She smiled, she laughed, she made heads turn. And for a moment you thought, she's out of my league. But here's a truth most men miss. Confidence is often a well-designed armor. And beneath that armor, insecurity, deep, quiet, and hidden. You might be thinking about someone right now. That one girl you admired. Maybe you fell for her charm, her energy, her independence. She made you feel small but enchanted. You gave her your attention, your compliments, maybe even your heart. And yet, there were cracks. Subtle moments when she seemed to seek validation. Times she asked, "Maud, do I look okay?" Even though she looked amazing. Or when she couldn't handle silence without reaching for her phone. Or when your praise became the fuel she needed to function. That's not strength. That's a hidden insecurity wrapped in confidence. Ask yourself this. Have you ever been in love with someone who seemed strong, only to realize later she needed constant reassurance? Have you ever been exhausted trying to prove your love, to make her feel enough? It wasn't you. It was her hidden need. Stoicism teaches us to see things as they are, not how they appear. And this is where your power lies. When you realize that her confidence isn't invincibility, but a carefully rehearsed performance, you stop overestimating her emotional power over you. Instead, you become the calm in her storm, the man who doesn't chase but understands, the man who knows that real confidence doesn't demand attention, it radiates from silence. So next time you meet that woman who captivates a room, don't just admire her from the outside. Watch closely, see if her confidence is rooted in peace or powered by the need to be seen. And if you're already with her, remember, she doesn't need a savior. She needs stability. And the more stoic you remain in the face of her highs and lows, the more you become the one man who doesn't feed her insecurity, but heals it through presence. Have you loved someone like this? Then you know the weight. Now you know the truth. Point 3, the desire to be led. She says she wants equality. She says she wants partnership. And she does. But there's something else buried, deep beneath the surface, something she may never confess to anyone, not even to herself. She wants to be led, not controlled, not dominated, but led by a man who knows where he's going, a man with vision, clarity, and calm. Have you ever noticed how she asks, "What should we do?" Or how she waits for you to make the plan, book the table, take the first step? This isn't about power games. It's about trust. Think back. Was there a moment where she pulled back when you were indecisive? Or a time she became distant when you kept asking her what she wanted to do? Maybe you thought you were being respectful, giving her the freedom to choose. But deep inside, she was quietly begging for your direction. Because when a man leads, she relaxes. When you know where you're going, she feels safe. When your energy is grounded, her heart can rest. She wants to lean into you, but only if she feels you won't collapse under the weight of her emotions. Have you ever been in love with a woman who seemed chaotic or overwhelmed? Did you try to calm her by being agreeable, only for her to lose interest? That wasn't love failing. That was a lack of masculine direction. Stoicism teaches us to be firm yet fair, grounded, not reactive. And that's exactly what she craves. She wants a man who won't be moved by her mood swings, who can gently say, "We'll do this," and lead her through the storm. Even the strongest women, the most independent ones, especially them, long for this. They carry so much on their shoulders. So when you arrive with presence and purpose, they finally feel like they can exhale. So ask yourself, have you been leading or asking to be led? Have you been giving her your energy or constantly seeking hers? Your silence, your stillness, your certainty, that's what she finds irresistible. And once she feels that, she won't want to leave. Point 4, the conflict between independence and intimacy. She says she doesn't need anyone. She says she's fine on her own. And maybe she is. She's built her own world, carved her own path, and wears her independence like a crown. But then something happens, you get close. You touch her heart. And suddenly she starts to pull away. Have you ever been there? Have you ever loved a woman who said she wanted closeness but pushed you away the moment you gave her real intimacy? That feeling of being let in then shut out is more common than you think. Here's what you need to understand. She's not lying. She does want intimacy. She does want connection. But the moment that connection begins to threaten her sense of freedom, her inner conflict wakes up. It's not you. It's the war inside her. She's been taught to be independent, to not rely on anyone. Maybe life forced her into that mindset. Maybe she was hurt, abandoned, betrayed, disappointed. So she built walls. She made herself strong, and now, every time love walks through the door, it reminds her of the risk. She's afraid that if she lets go, she'll lose herself. But here's where your strength as a man matters most. You don't fight her independence. You respect it. You admire it. But you don't let it scare you either. You become the one person who doesn't demand her vulnerability, but creates a space where she wants to be vulnerable. Remember this, her pulling away isn't rejection. It's her fear that closeness means surrender, that love means losing the control she fought so hard to build. And if you're grounded, if you remain calm, present, and patient, she slowly starts to see that love and independence can coexist. That being with you doesn't mean giving up who she is. Have you ever seen that shift happen? That moment when she finally leans in, not because she has to, but because she wants to. That's power. That's presence. That's stoicism in love. She doesn't need a man to save her, but she deeply craves a man who can hold her with strength, with stillness, and with no desire to control. If you've ever loved a woman like this, you know it's not easy. But now you know the truth behind her push and pull. 5. Craves stability, yet resists it. Have you ever had a woman say, "I just want someone stable, someone who gives me peace," only to watch her later run from that very peace? If that hit you like a memory you didn't want to remember, stay with me. Let's go back to a moment. Maybe it was late at night. You'd just come back from a long day, tired but excited to see her. You brought her her favorite drink, smiled, tried to keep the energy warm, and she smiled too, briefly. But then something shifted. The vibe changed. She became distant, quiet. Her eyes told you something her lips wouldn't. You asked, "Is everything okay?" She said, "Yeah, I'm fine." But you knew she wasn't. She had once said, "You make me feel safe." And yet in that very safety, she began to push you away. Here's the truth, one of the hidden female weaknesses most men never recognize. Women crave emotional stability. Deep down, it's one of their most intimate desires. But at the same time, some women are conditioned by chaos. They were raised in it. They normalized it. And when a man brings peace instead of feeling comforted, they feel unfamiliar. And what's unfamiliar often feels unsafe, even if it's exactly what they need. So what happens? She pulls back, creates unnecessary arguments, says you're too calm or it's boring, not because peace is bad, but because peace is foreign. Brother, ask yourself, have you ever tried to love a woman by giving her everything she said she wanted, only for her to seem ungrateful or confused? This isn't your fault. This is conditioning. This is emotional wiring based on past hurt. But don't take this personally. Recognize the weakness behind the reaction. A woman's fear of stability isn't about you, it's about her comfort zone. A powerful man sees this. He doesn't chase after her confusion. He remains firm, stoic, stable, not just for her, but for himself. Because when you make peace your identity, not your performance, you attract what's ready for that peace. Not every woman is. So if your story sounds like this, if you gave love, calm, patience, and still she resisted, know this. You were the peace she wasn't ready for. And that's okay. But you must stay ready. Because when the right one comes along, she won't run from your calm. She'll bloom in it. 6. The desire to be chosen, not chased. Let me ask you something. Have you ever chased someone so hard that you lost yourself in the process? You kept sending messages, planning surprises, showing up with all the love you could give, but she stayed distant, cold, indifferent. There was a young man named Samir. He was deeply in love with a woman named Aisha. He adored her. Everything about her fascinated him. The way she smiled, the way her eyes sparkled when she talked about her dreams, the way she tucked her hair behind her ears. He pursued her relentlessly, thinking that love meant chasing until she finally gave in. And she did, kind of. She agreed to be with him, but something always felt off. She never really opened up. She was there physically, but emotionally, it felt like she was behind a glass wall. No matter how hard Samir tried, he couldn't reach her heart. He gave everything, but still she felt distant. You know why? Because deep down, many women want to be chosen, not chased. There's a subtle but powerful difference. Chasing feels desperate. It feels like you're trying to convince someone of your worth. But choosing feels powerful. It means you are grounded in your own value. And instead of proving yourself, you allow the right person to meet you there. Ask yourself in your love story, have you ever felt like you were the one doing all the work? Trying to keep things alive? Holding conversations, initiating plans, overthinking every text? It's not your fault. Most men are taught that this is how love works. But the Stoic man knows better. He knows that real connection happens when both people choose each other, not when one is chasing while the other runs. This hidden weakness, this desire to be chosen, reveals that a woman needs to feel seen, valued and appreciated without pressure. But when a man is always chasing, she doesn't feel chosen. She feels cornered, and eventually she'll pull away. So stop chasing, start choosing. Choose yourself first. And when she senses that, when she sees that you are content, complete, and calm without her, you become irresistible. Maybe in your story, it's time you stop writing chapters full of desperation and start writing one where you are finally chosen. Remember that moment when you gave too much? Use that memory not to regret but to reflect, because now you know what to do differently. This story, this shift, it might just be the turning point in your love life. 7. Overthinking and emotional conflict. There's something profoundly quiet about a woman who is sitting beside you but is somewhere else entirely. You can feel her body there, warm, familiar, maybe even pressed against yours, but her soul is out wandering, tangled up in thoughts she's not ready to speak out loud. And you as a man are left trying to decode the silence, hoping that love is enough to pull her back into the moment. Let me take you back to a memory. Do you remember the first time you noticed the woman you love lost in her own mind? You were telling her something important, something about your plans or your fears, or maybe your childhood, and she was there, nodding, smiling, but her eyes were saying something else. Something like, "I'm here, but I'm carrying a storm inside." This, my friend, is one of the deepest hidden weaknesses in women that many men never notice: overthinking mixed with emotional conflict. And not just the casual, "what should I wear?" kind of overthinking, but the kind that keeps them up at night, questioning their worth, doubting their past, fearing their future. And men often mistake this for distance, even coldness. But it's not that she doesn't care. It's that she cares too much. It's that she's running simulations in her mind, over and over again, of what if he leaves? What if I'm not enough? What if I love too deeply and lose everything? If you've ever had a woman suddenly pull back emotionally, go silent, seem distracted, or even start arguments over small things, it's often not about the moment. It's about the weight of everything she hasn't said. Her overthinking becomes a battle between her heart and her mind, and sometimes that conflict spills out in unexpected ways. Ask yourself, have you ever laid in bed next to someone you loved, and even though their head was on your chest, you could feel the emotional miles between you? That's not detachment, it's emotional conflict. And if you truly care about her, you'll lean into her silence, not walk away from it. Stoicism teaches us that true strength is calm presence. So if she's overthinking, be her peace. Let your steadiness remind her that not every question needs an answer, and not every fear will come true. Sometimes all she needs is for you to sit in her storm with her and not flinch. Conclusion. And now that we've walked through all 7 of these hidden female weaknesses, I want you to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. These aren't just abstract concepts or psychological theories. They are real, lived truths that echo in every relationship, every late-night conversation, every unresolved argument, and every moment of intimacy you've shared. You see, understanding these silent, emotional patterns in women isn't about manipulating or controlling anyone. It's about becoming a man who can listen without judgment, speak with honesty, and stand with calm awareness when emotions run high. That's what a Stoic does. He doesn't react blindly. He responds with wisdom. Think about your past. Think about that one woman, the one who had a grip on your soul. Maybe she cried in silence when you thought everything was fine. Maybe she tested your loyalty, not because she didn't trust you, but because she didn't trust herself. Maybe she pulled away hoping you'd chase her, or hoping you'd prove that you wouldn't. When you understand her silent fears, her insecurities, her unspoken emotional needs, not only do you become a stronger man, you become a better lover, a better partner, and above all, a better version of yourself. But don't forget, this isn't about fixing women. It's about fixing how we perceive them. When you elevate your perception, you elevate your power. So brother, I ask you, which of these points hit you the hardest? Which moment in this video reminded you of your past love? Your heartbreak? Or maybe that one time you just didn't understand her tears? Let those memories speak to you. Let them guide you into becoming a wiser man, a Stoic man. If this video resonated with you, if even one of these points touched your heart or reminded you of something you've been through, then this is your moment. Subscribe to my channel, Deep Stoic, because this isn't just content, this is a brotherhood. A place where men learn to lead with calm strength, not chaos. Like the video, drop a comment below sharing your story, your love, your heartbreak, your biggest lesson, because there's power in vulnerability, and your story might just be the one that helps another man rise. And most importantly, share this video with someone who needs it, a friend, a brother, maybe even someone who's going through a silent struggle. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.